Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
We continue to follow a breaking news story involving a missing persons case out of Wahpeton, North Dakota. The investigation led law enforcement to a farmstead in rural Clay County, where officials found human remains and have taken 2 people into custody. Authorities are calling Jason Jensen and Kayla Westcott persons of interest in connection with the case of Troy Yarbrough, who was last seen on May 18th. Yarbrough was reported missing by his family on June 9th. The investigation into his disappearance led law enforcement to a farmstead near Hitterdal, Minnesota, that is listed as the residence for Jacob Jensen. The Red River Valley Regional SWAT team was called in to secure the residence and Jensen. Westcott was taken into custody at a later time. The human remains were sent to the Ramsey County Medical Examiner for identification. That investigation is ongoing. Tonight on Valley News Live at 9 on Fargo CW and Valley News Live at 10, hear what neighbors in Wahpeton have to say about the missing man, Troy Yarbrough.
Why did you call the whistleblower hotline?
Well, because if they're not going to honor their agreement that they had with me, and if they're taking my money, then who else are they conning? And I don't want anyone else to become a victim of some fly-by-night auto body place.
A Fargo man says he was scammed after being approached by a mobile auto repair duo saying they could fix his car for less money. And while some work was done on his car, he contacted our whistleblower hotline to make sure others don't spend their money on what he calls an incomplete job. Valley News Team's Rose Itzkovitz explains why sometimes it's true what they say. You get what you pay for.
Fargo man Brian Lee works here in town. He happened to be outside his truck when he was approached by 2 men.
They came up to me and told me to get rid of the rust and the damage to my truck,
saying it would cost $1,100, a significantly cheaper estimate than he got from brick and mortar shops.
The cheapest one I found was $3,900 a side to have my truck fixed.
Too good to be true? That's what Lee says now.
Next thing they said was we needed another $400 cash to finish the thing.
No credit cards.
It had to be cash only.
Dan Hendrickson of the Better Business Bureau says that's the first red flag.
Anytime you're paying cash to an unknown entity or an individual, there's no contract, there's no record of it really, of the transaction. Whereas with a credit card, at least in theory, you could contest a charge if the work was unsatisfactory.
Then Lee says the mobile shop abruptly left town for other business.
After a week, I called him. He said it would be 4 days. After 4 days, I called again. He said it would be another 4 days.
A month went by.
I wasn't expecting to ever see him again because every time I called the number, it just went straight to unavailable.
I tried calling that same number. It worked for me.
Hello, you have reached ASAP Mobile Auto Body.
I left a message, but they didn't respond to my request for an interview. Lee recently ran into the mechanics again.
He says, well, it's going to need extra money now.
Another $800. Lee recorded their conversation.
You know this is not a standard white.
I know, but
This is a pro white.
no, this is...
It's got a hit.
Because I've painted this before.
It looks like it's got a hit of pearl in it.
No, it's not.
Lee took pictures of each of the vehicles the mechanics came and went in. One with a Florida license plate, one from Colorado, and a third from Texas. One car says ASAP Mobile Auto Body, another Dent Patrol. The BBB says those names don't register with them yet, but Hendrickson says with a handshake agreement, you get what you get. And Lee's lucky he at least got some work for his money. But Lee wants others to learn from his mistake.
To be honest with you, I know it's expensive to go to the auto body places, but at least an auto body place is honest about their prices and what they're going to do. So.
And remember, you get what you pay for. In Fargo, Rose Itzkovitz, Valley News Live.
The Better Business Bureau says while there may be nothing wrong with a traveling business, it may be smart to establish a relationship with a local one that you can trust, where you can visit and they can't disappear on you. This story came to us through our whistleblower hotline. So if you need help with a serious issue in your community, call 237-6576 and leave your tip. We'll do our best to get to the bottom of it. Today, the Norman County Attorney's Office released video showing the last minutes of the life of Pedro Ruiz III. Ruiz's girlfriend, Mona Lisa Perez, pleaded guilty to manslaughter after shooting him in the chest with a large caliber gun in an incident that has been described as a YouTube stunt gone wrong. The video has been edited to exclude the point where Ruiz is shot, but he can be heard describing why he plans to go through with the stunt. To see the full video, go to Valley News Live and click on this story. Officials say a 2-month-old baby girl has died in the hospital after she was found to be not breathing at an apartment in Red Lake Falls, Minnesota, earlier this week. The infant was initially placed on life support at Sanford Hospital in Fargo. A relative had been caring for the baby since she was born, since the mother is being held at a correctional facility in Shakopee, Minnesota. No criminal charges have been filed and no arrests have been made at this time. Some promising news to pass along about the 8-year-old girl who was attacked by a dog Wednesday night in Dilworth. Her family tells us that she has been released from the hospital today. They say her bite wounds were so deep they had to be glued shut. They say she's still in a lot of pain but is doing well. The dog involved is being quarantined for the next 9 days because it was not up to date on its rabies shots. It's hot and steamy out there, and as we roll into the weekend, some of us will want to be on the lookout for thunderstorms. Hutch, what's the latest on the weather this evening?
For tonight, most of us will see quiet weather, but the radar quite active in the central Dakotas. Western Stutsman County particularly seeing some small storms work their way through. The main threat is going to be lightning with these, but some small hail could be moving through with these as well, generally under a ½ of an inch in diameter. Carrington, you'll see storms in the next few minutes pushing from south to north. Maddock, likewise, and Towner County seeing a few. Fargo-Moorhead, temperatures will eventually slip into the 70s late tonight for a warm evening, and I expect us to remain dry throughout. I'll have details on our chances of rain for the first weekend of summer coming up in a moment.
Okay, thanks, Hutch. A man who walked away from a Fargo halfway house after pleading guilty to manslaughter has now been charged in federal court with escape from custody. 29-year-old Sean Schroeder of Dunseith, North Dakota, was arrested last week in South Fargo, a day after police and the U.S. Marshal Service alerted the public that he had walked away the previous day from Center Inc. halfway house in Fargo. According to court documents, Schroeder was being held there after being granted a 2-week furlough to get a psychological evaluation. Schroeder pleaded guilty in February to voluntary manslaughter in the 2017 death of 43-year-old Chad Warren. He is scheduled to be sentenced on that case on July 25th. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Department wants your help finding a missing 16-year-old girl. Jerica Neubauer hasn't been seen in 4 days. She's about 5'6", 133 pounds, with long braided hair. She was last seen in Fergus Falls, but she may be in other parts of the county. Anyone with information on where she may be is urged to call law enforcement.
There's a lot of contents, no vehicles. Initially, we had a propane tank that was on fire in there, some gasoline, and some fireworks went off too, as well as along with some ammunition. So a lot of stuff in there.
A garage was completely destroyed after a fire broke out in North Moorhead this afternoon. It happened in the 1900 block of 13th Avenue North. Fire also spread to neighbor's garage, causing some damage to the siding, but neither house was damaged. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. No injuries are being reported at this time. Later on Valley News Live at 6, a small town takes action to stop the 2 residents who they believe have ties to a white supremacist. But first, a judge decides a deputy's actions will cancel out a big drug bust.